The second type of factoring that you're going to see is difference of squares. And you can look this up on YouTube as well, but it's probably the easiest factoring out of all of it once you get the idea. So what it is, it has to be a binomial. And that means it has two terms. And it also has to have a minus sign between. Has to be a subtraction. And the idea is, well, it has to be a binomial, it has to be a subtraction, and it has to be a perfect square. Or it has to have, let's see, that has to have a perfect square. And you're thinking, what is a perfect square? Well, a perfect square, again, it's one of those that you can look up on YouTube and it'll tell you real quick. If you do 1 times 1, it's 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. You get the idea. These values here are called perfect squares because the same number multiplies to make them. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, etc. So it has to be a binomial and it has to have one of these numbers. And then you can factor it out. So for example, if you have something that looks like x squared minus 25. So it's a binomial, it's a subtraction, and it has a perfect square. Then all you do is the factors of that perfect square is 5. So you just set it up as x plus 5, x minus 5. So the other rule is that the factors have to be 1 positive and 1 negative. 1 positive and 1 negative. Okay, and that's it. So you really don't even have to do a lot of math here. You just have to look, see if, what's the factor that makes that perfect square and set it up as, x plus that number and x minus that number. So if we take another example, let's say I have b squared minus 9. Okay, then to factor that is just b plus 3, b minus 3. As long as you set 1 positive and 1 negative in the factored part, then you're okay. The reason why, if you wanted to know, is if you actually set up an area model with this and you actually multiply this out, then the b's become b squared, the 3 becomes 3b, this becomes negative 3b, and then this becomes negative 9. The middle terms right here always cancel out because one factor is positive, one factor is negative, and it's the same number. That's why they always cancel out, and then in this case, you would only be left with b squared minus 9. So that's all you had to know about this second type of factoring. It's called difference of squares. It has to be a binomial, it has to be a subtraction, and it has to have a perfect square. And then you just set the factor as 1 positive and 1 negative. X plus 5, x minus 5, x plus 3, x minus 3, and so forth.